Hi everyone.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. We're live today and we're going out to a lot of different channels and have a beautiful theme to talk about today. The role of emotions in mysticism. And Marina has just started a podcast.
Yes.
And the name of the podcast is
Only Love Remains.
Only Love Remains. Okay, here we go. This is episode 2 of Only Love Remains, and you can go down to the description and look for the link.
Yes, with all of the other episodes. So far we have one that we recorded with Anna, where we share all of our miracles and adventures in Spain the last 2 months.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Yes, I don't think we covered them all, but
no, it's mysticism. That's what we're doing here. We're into mysticism. So how beautiful. Well, we have a great opportunity to go into some aspects of mysticism that often are not talked about, but I think people have questions about them, and there's some beautiful themes from Jesus in A Course in Miracles. One of them, I think, is true empathy, which is staying with what's real and true. And in order to do that, you have to have complete alignment in your mind with your perceptions and your emotions and your thoughts and your beliefs and your prayer, your desire. And so the emotions are a key aspect in mysticism. I think when people read the lives of the saints and the mystics, it's quite intense and quite emotional for them as they go for God, and they relinquish all desires and pursuits in this world just to focus on God and pray on God. And so that's one of the things we thought a good title would be, The Role of Emotions in Mysticism. And I feel like that's one of your great strengths in this journey is your emotions. I know you could say it's very intense. You might say, thank you for that positive evaluation of that. Because emotions, I know a lot of people say, oh, I can't deal with my emotions. And there's a lot of ego defense mechanisms against love. Jesus teaches us in the Course that there's only 2 emotions, love and fear. And all of the defense mechanisms that we learn about through psychology and through Jesus and the Course in Miracles are all based on fear, and they're all defenses against the Holy Instant and against God's love and divine love. So maybe you could start off and just share a little bit about, I feel it's your greatest strength, but also for many, it can be, it's very, very intense, and for many people they can say, please turn down the intensity level. But when you are so in touch with your emotions, then you really have to face the intensity quite frequently, I think, in your daily life.
Yes, I feel like I feel everything.
Like an empath, a true empath.
Yes, and I feel like, for example, lately I've been feeling so much love and heart opening and deep joy, but it's not all the time like that. I feel that there has been and there still is moments where I get in touch with very deep emotions, pain or sadness, and I feel because the prayer is so strong to allow all the love up and have that I feel I feel like my defenses are very down when it comes to feeling. Like if something touches me, I feel instead of putting a guard up or protecting myself or like smiling like I'm okay, but inside I'm hurting, I feel like I really allow myself to feel the hurt, to feel the pain, to feel the sadness, and allow it all out as it needs to come. And I feel like I have been giving myself permission to feel, even when the ego says, oh, this is not a good time, this is not a good setting, or it's just okay, this is the way that I'm feeling right now, and I just want to be as authentic as I can possibly be, because it's that through that authenticity that I can really go through a real spiritual transformation. Instead of just saying the words, by allowing myself to feel, I can really see the change in my perception, and I can actually feel different, feel the joy from within my heart. And even yesterday, we did a service with Helena, a church service, and just before the service, and I was so joyful in the service, but just before the service, I actually had allowed a lot of emotions with Helena, because I arrived at La Casa, and we sat down, and then it felt like they were doing testing sound, and in my mind everything felt like a lot of sound and sharp. It felt sharp. Something felt sharp in the environment, and I said, I feel like I need to go right now, and I'll wait until you're done with the sound testing. And then Elena said, oh yeah, we can just check the microphones now, and you go. And then I go and I sit very quietly, and I start getting in touch with my heart. And there comes Helena, and she looks at me and she says, how are you feeling? And then I just started crying, and I said, I actually feel a lot of emotion right now, because I feel like I have these words came. I feel like the presence of God inside my heart is the most valuable thing, and I feel very sensible, and it feels like I have a child inside of me, and I feel like I need to protect it, and protecting this child is the most important thing for me. And I was getting in touch with a lot of emotion and just crying, and I was like, I don't know exactly why I'm crying. I just feel very emotional, because it just like I can't live like I used to live. Like I feel like I need to live with my heart completely open, and but it feels very new, and it needs to strengthen. And right now it needs my care and my love, but I feel very vulnerable, because I literally do feel like a child inside. I feel like a 4-year-old child, and I feel like I need to be taken care of by myself mostly, and give myself love and allow myself to be, which is not something that I allowed myself. Like I always try to do, and also like to maybe like give the love, but it's like, oh, I feel like I need to give it to myself, because I feel like I need to be the one that receives it. So yesterday I really was able to get in touch with what is truly valuable for me, and also like something in me gets undone, because like the Marina that can take care of herself needs to be undone, and that is something that I've been praying a lot too, as well. If I really allow myself to go deeper and deeper and deeper into this love, and allow anything that's not up, but not conceptually, through the emotions up, will I be taken care of? Will I be safe? Will you take spirit care of me? And is falling into this trust in the present moment, that everything is given to us in the present moment. And Jesus has been convincing me of this. Even yesterday, to get to the worship, I didn't tell it to Susanna, but I had a very deep experience on Saturday also. Very emotional experience of a lot of love and gratitude pouring through me. And then at the end of the day, I thought, I don't know if I can drive tomorrow to the worship service.
The day before.
And I was like praying. It's like, I like, as part of my mind is like, yes, come on, you can drive. But it's like, if I try to drive. It's like it feels sharp in my mind, and I can't. It's too painful to feel that sharpness, and it's like, well, I actually have to admit I can't. But I was just praying in my heart. I didn't say one word, and then Susanna writes and says, I'm thinking to go into the worship earlier with you for some music, and I was like, oh,
all
thank
things are
you.
given.
The
ride was given.
The ride was given.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think when you devote yourself so deeply, it's a path of simplicity. Like I have to hit.
Oh.
So here we are. We started with the intention to record, and the thing that's funny about it is I remembered one button, which was the go live. That's about as far. How do you come together with no tech support except having to push a button? But there was 2 other buttons for if we put the podcast out and everything. Okay, Soren, we just trust you. We need you. What can we say? But that's a good example right there, because at some point as we're talking, I'm just like, something needs to happen here, and it's all perfect because it always is perfect. But it just seems that when you devote your mind solely to God, and you go very deep with that, and you use your emotions like you're talking about as your barometer, it becomes a very simple practice of when I'm in joy, everything's flowing, and then if not, then there's a prayer. There's a very deep prayer to connect with and remember that joy, to come back into alignment with that, even with technology or car rides or anything. So to me that's very practical, but it does require like letting go of the past. So the thoughts of the David or the Marina, thoughts of technology, things that we've done thousands, tens of thousands of times, don't come in and enter in as a factor. They can be talked about, but then, it's like that's that. So it feels like that's a very straight and simple, straightforward pathway to God, and it's using the emotions, but you have to be so willing to allow, is the key word, willing to allow all the emotions up. And when we're talking about an unconscious mind that's been pushed out of awareness, and that's part of the whole ego defense against the light and the holy instant, then it means that, like it says in the workbook, there is a child in you and he needs your protection. Just let him be still for a moment and to remember the truth. And basically that's what we're dealing with, but it's actually a practical path. It's not a theology or a platitude or something like that. It's actually the path.
Yes, like as you said, I feel like what really guides me is to put all my focus in how do I feel, and use how I feel and my emotions as my barometer, and I experience this as my heart. I feel like my heart is open or is closed, and if it's closed, I used to judge myself so much, like some harsh voice in my mind saying you're doing it wrong, you're doing it like you're not going fast enough, you're not even feeling, like the fact that I'm not, because sometimes it just closes and I'm not able to feel what's below it. And then but I have been experiencing so much in those moments where my heart is closed that I pray, I become so aware of, it's like my whole mind and focus is on this prayer of, if there is anything to be seen, just orchestrate time and space so that I can get in touch with whatever needs to be seen, or orchestrate time and space so that I can feel you. I don't know how to reach my heart, but you know how, and it's only through my prayer. Like all I can do is just pray and trust that if that's what my heart is praying for, it's done. He will take care of it. And every time I have done this, there was so much light coming through. Maybe sometimes there was a circumstance that helped me get in touch with an emotion, and then that allowed the joy and love to come through. Or maybe it was just a mighty companion, then in their silence and in their love, just something in my heart just relax, my mind relax and allows the love in. I never know how it's gonna come in, but it always has come through, and it always comes, I feel like stronger in my awareness, and I'm becoming more and more in alignment with the spirit. It still fluctuates, but it feels like it's becoming more consistent. And then I'm realizing like, oh, like nothing's going wrong. I'm just going deeper, and I cannot never distinguish between my advances and me going backwards. Like I really don't know, but I'm just gonna trust that if I'm not feeling that complete joy or love, that everything's okay. It's just my prayer is becoming stronger and deeper, and the ego is resisting it. And yeah, there is this line is that Jesus has been telling me like constantly, because it's very simple, and he actually says it in the course. He says, don't listen to the ego, listen only to God.
There it is, straight from Jesus.
So it's very, very, very practical. But yeah, it's so deep, because I have to let go how things look in the world, or trying to achieve an outcome in the world. Because when you're so emotional, yes, if I try to make it about something, about a presentation, about Marina, a spiritual Marina, like then that blocks me from going deep. But then if I really show myself, I really show my emotions in each moment, then like I'm not like the whole concept of a spiritual teacher or a spiritual person just falls away, because it just this deep prayer of showing myself so transparently and fully, like very authentically, as much as I can in each moment, and that will take me straight to God, and that is the most important thing. And then everything else can disappear in that love, and realizing that the one gold is the peace of God, is the love of God, and nothing in this world matters. Like that's our treasure, and the treasures of this world are dust compared to the pearl, I think they called it recently.
Great price.
Yes, and that's the most valuable thing.
Yeah, I think it's people that are on the spiritual journey can relate to the idea that it's about dropping the mask, and that's tied into transparency and authenticity. But the personality self, the mask of the person, is tied in with all kinds of ego defense mechanisms, because it's based on survival of the body, survival of the person. And so it can seem very emotionally vulnerable, in the sense that you're going against a lot of past conditioning, a lot of unconscious conditioning about survival. Like, like even songs, smile though your heart is aching, smile even though it's breaking. There's songs that are trying to say, put on a happy face and smile. But when you take the authentic pathway, which is really a transformation in your awareness, it's a transformation of consciousness that leads to a direct experience of God and the holy instant, then it seems like all this other denied emotion and denied belief, we could say beliefs and thoughts, they do come up like a volcano at times, and instead of trying to keep it together, people say about hold it together and everything, it takes a lot of faith and trust and willingness to not try to keep it, the personality self, the personal perspective together. Because keeping it together in the world's terms is tied with functionality. And yet our function is to forgive, is to be happy. Our function is one with happiness. My happiness and my function are one. So it makes for a sense that you have to have a very deep trust that the Spirit has got you in any seeming circumstance or situation. That's what's developing that faith and trust. Because the world would say, well, you can't be emotionally unstable, you won't be able to function. Not as a person in the world, you won't be able to function with families and friends and partners and society in general, with community and so on and so forth. So the faith is really to allow the Spirit to use the emotions in a way that purifies the heart and purifies the mind. As he says, God's teachers are not perfect or they would not be here, and so they come to teach perfection over and over and over till they've learned it. But we're not talking about teach in words. We're actually talking about teach in attitude. And so there's an emotional honesty with love. And we could say that fear is never really an honest emotion, because you can never be consistently fearful. And that's what Jesus calls honesty, is consistency. So Jesus says there's only two emotions, even though there seems to be a lot of derivatives. And then of those two emotions, one is an honest emotion, love, because it's the way you were created as Christ. And the other, which is the human problem, the human issue, the human dilemma, is fear. So I think what we're talking about here is not hiding fear. Through the power of prayer, opening the fear up and saying, take me through it, take me to the light.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's it.
Yeah. So it's beautiful. I mean, it's something that's not talked about a lot. A lot of times people talk about the emotions, but the whole conversation's more in the kind of the parameter of human emotions. But love, even though it's called a human emotion, it has a divine source, and it's extremely powerful, like the Huey Lewis and the News song, The Power of Love. It's very, very powerful. But as you go back inward and you start to approach that, then everything that you thought you knew before or believed in seems to be dismantled. It just seems to be taken apart.
Yes, and there is beauty in that.
Yeah.
There is beauty in this sweet surrender and allowing the emotions up and allowing. The beauty of it is that when you allow the emotion up of fear, whatever facet it could be, then the love rushes into that space you've given your mind and your heart, and that's the beauty of it. Feeling that the healing is not conceptual, it's an actual experience. When I don't protect the ego, I don't defend myself, I don't try to hide it. Jesus is like, you don't have to make yourself holy, just don't hide anything from me. Just give me what it hurts, but not as a thing I say in my mind, as a deep prayer in my heart, like, take this from me. And every time I give what I think or feel or a situation or anything, like in a platter, to Jesus, then it's so beautiful how he cleanses me, and I feel like I get given new life over and over and over again. But it's so deep, and this I feel like the prayer is so deep, and I have also been praying, like, when I get in touch with this love, like, how can I truly share it? Because my deepest prayer is for not me personally feeling the love, but the love lighting up the whole world, and everyone is in it with me. All the witnesses come here with me, and it's like I pray that we all feel the full glory of God's love, because when any of us opens up to the love, we all go together into it. But I think that there was a part of my mind that was still thinking as if there was me and you. And then Jesus was saying, there is no one outside yourself. There is not another person that needs to be healed. You just need to accept the healing for yourself. And when you accept the healing for yourself, then the seeming other is able to receive the fruits of the healing, of the love and the joy that comes with you. But then he said, like, it just requires one moment where you love without fear. And in that, but you have to be able to love without fear for it to be accepted in your mind and therefore give it. Because if there is fear in your mind and you try to heal, then that's the unhealed healer, and you cannot help anyone and not yourself on that level. So your only responsibility is to allow the healing for yourself. And I feel like I do it through feeling all of the emotions, and then through that healing, all the miracles come through my mind, and it feels like it leads up the whole world.
Yeah. It's like that idea that truth cannot be described or explained, but only experienced. So what we're talking about here is fully going into a devotional life of experience, of direct experience, and letting the emotions be used in that coming to or acceptance of the direct experience. And this is why I think it's so important to see that you can't bring the truth into the illusion. It's difficult to try to be loving inside the self-concept, inside the family issues, inside the interpersonal relationship, inside the society. That's all the attempt to call upon God and bring the truth into the illusion, where this is a letting go process. This is like a faith, trust, prayer of, okay, this is for the whole universe. We're all the same one, and the only way that I can consistently remember that we're all the same one is to not hold on to anything that I learned from the past. And all the personality traits and concepts and histories and tendencies and issues and everything, they're basically all just the past, and we're just letting go into the holy instant. So it's quite exciting, but it's not something that fits into any of the boxes of this world. For centuries now, it seems there's been a running debate about what mysticism is. And that's trying to talk about it as if it's another theology or another conceptual category, and it's simply devotion to God and the direct experience of God and God's love. But that doesn't fit into anything. It's like the undoing of all the boxes of the world. So I can see where the faith is to be very, very strong, to start this journey and then to go with it, go deeper into it.
Yes, and the true empathy component of it, staying with the truth, staying with what's real, staying in the direction in which Jesus is guiding us into the light, no matter what the world seems to tell us. I feel like I have taken many steps, but I feel like I'm ready to heal in deeper ways as each step I take. And I recently went to Europe, and there were all these miracles and everything felt so glorious, but then
there's more.
The last week, my cousin says, I would love to see you, and I felt it in the moment, and that day was so miraculous, time and space being reconfigured, everything given. We spent a beautiful time together. I stayed to sleep in her house, and like so much light. It felt like so much light. And then the following day, we had a conversation, and all of the doubt and ways of the world were spoken to me, like, it's really, really good that you follow this love, but what about your family and your sister and what they've been through, and they need you, and what are you doing? And I like it too. Like the ego is like, take this one. Like it felt like it was out of the blue. I was like, whoa, what's happening? Just such a contrast. But in that moment, I felt like, wow, I can truly say with whole conviction, like this is what truly helps them. This is what truly heals. Like the way I see it is that I know and I feel that we are all connected. And as I take the steps that open up my heart, this is expanding the capacity to love, to feel the whole love in my heart, and that love irradiates to them, and I know that they can feel it. And I recently had a trip to Argentina where Jesus guided me there, and there was all these miracles and healing with my father, where I was able to extend the miracle and the love that I felt in my heart, and he was able to receive it, and that was truly healing. It was truly healing. The whole situation and perception seemed to shift so radically because he was diagnosed with cancer, and at the beginning of the week it started as a seeming problem. Like he said to me, well, I had just been diagnosed with cancer 2 days ago and I had just arrived, so I thought in my heart, like, wow, like this is so perfectly divinely orchestrated, and I was feeling overtaken by gratitude to be there in that moment. And my father started with this is really bad luck, just that I've been diagnosed with cancer, and just all of the love that I felt in my heart and how deep I had gone, I opened up the question, what if it's not bad luck? And he said, if it's not bad luck, what does that even mean? And I didn't answer. I just said, Dad, I love you so much. But throughout the whole week, we started having these deep conversations. And then he started opening up to the idea that he has the strength of God inside of himself. And that would be able to lift him up and take him through all of the steps that were given him. And he was able to I was fully able to give that idea, and he was able to receive it. And the whole situation, like he still had to go through surgery and steps, but he was shining. There was so much light beaming out of him, and I was like, oh wow, this is so beautiful, this is so glorious. Like when I healed, I'm not healed alone, and this is the gift that I can really give to everyone that I think of. And so I said that to my cousin, and then she went quietly and went away, and then it was like, oh yeah, like this is very different to the ways of the world. Like this is like truly going fully into our calling, and then trust, like fully trust that all aspects are taken care of, whether it's anyone that I think of or if it's anything that has to do with my body, while I still believe in it, trusting that he will take care of it. Like those are second order concerns, and I don't need to think about them.
I think during the movie we watched yesterday, the idea of two worlds came up. Ricky's song, These Two Worlds Are Driving Me Crazy. It's like there's the personal perspective, which is the egoic filter, which is what everyone assumes is everyday consciousness, even though it's a world based on fragmentation and perceptual distortions and lack and limitation. And then there's the spirit's perspective, which is another world. It's a happy dream. It's a higher perspective for everything. And the belief that there are two different worlds and you can vacillate even between them is very intense and frustrating. And we could say that the emotions just mirror the attempt to vacillate between two different worlds. One is a reflection of God's love and of forgiveness, and the other is as an egoic world of people, places, things, situations. It's what's accepted as reality, but it's not reality at all. So yeah, that's amazing. And then you go along in the flow, and then your interaction with your cousin and your interaction with your father in Argentina, you really get carried back and lifted up to what you're really praying for, which is to see the world differently, see the world with the Holy Spirit. So wow, that's very much just like, okay, I'm just going to pray, and I'm just going to trust that everything is coming for my good, from my higher perspective.
Yes, and this the prayer to be shown that I will be completely taken care of, and I have been praying on that very deeply.
Yes.
And I had a recent experience because I feel like I carry that prayer in my heart, and I went to sleep, and I remember I was walking in my room in the dream, and then I started feeling all this love come through my heart, and the thought come, if I allow this love in, will you take care of me? And then I heard the voice, trust me. And then I felt like I went into this deep experience of basking in God's love and feeling all this beautiful gratitude, as if I was floating in outer space, just so beautiful. And then I wake up in the dream, and then I'm lying safely in my bed. And then I said, oh, thank you. You always take care of me. And then I wake up in what seems to be this dream. And then I said, I was like a little bit, like, was that a dream? And like kind of state of mind, like what is happening? And then I heard the love was real. And then later on the day, I open up the course, and he says, you are at home with God, dreaming of exile, but perfectly capable of waking up. And then he says, is it your decision to do so? And then he says, when you are dreaming, you think that is what's real, even though when you wake up, you realize that like none of it happened. And even though what seemed to happen in the dream goes in against the laws you had built for this world, but you don't say like, oh, when you wake up, you completely discard it as, oh, that was a dream. And then the same thing is when you are dreaming with your eyes open, and then it's like when you fully wake up, you don't ask yourself like did that happen or not. You completely dismiss it as like, oh, that was a dream, it was not real. But then he says, like, you are deciding to dream, or you're deciding to wake up. And then he said, you will remember everything the moment that you desire it wholly. And then it's just keeping that prayer of friend, like I wish, I desire with all my heart to wake up, but obviously there is still fear in my mind. And now Jesus has to gently unwind my mind from that fear through allowing all the emotions up to clear, so that I can wholeheartedly accept the love that's in our heart.
Yeah. Wow. it's quite the journey, quite the inward journey. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Wow. Well, for those that are watching this, and so you have the inspiration to do this podcast, and then you've had Anna Pola, our friend, on, and so you're just going to go forward in inspiration and just see how it goes.
Yes. I might do some on my own, or I might invite other guests who can share these insights, but I feel like this is an answer to a prayer to really keep going deeper and deeper, and looking into the mind and seeing the obstacles and learning from each other, and going all together. And like, there is this part that is coming to my mind right now, where Jesus says it's in the section, the circle of atonement, and he describes the circle of atonement as a circle of peace, and he says, I stand within the circle, calling you to peace. Teach peace with me and stand with me on holy ground. And then he says, we are all teachers of innocence, have joined together in the unifying curriculum of atonement, and he says atonement is the only thing that joins us here. And he's like, join me in the atonement, join me in teaching peace, like teachers of innocence, join me. And I feel I have this prayer of this prayer of going deeper with Jesus, but also joining with others in this deep purpose. I feel like prayers are powerful, but when they're shared and when we pray together, they are so mighty.
Yeah. That sounds like one of our retreats over in Spain. Do not see error, because atonement is the correction. So that's going beyond the error entirely. But it's quite a practice. That's
Yes.
From theory into practice. That's something they don't usually talk about when they talk about the theory of A Course in Miracles. There's all these metaphysics, but do not see error. That's the tippy top of practice. So that's quite a thing to go for. Happily to be led down that path, down the rabbit hole.
Yes.
Deep down the rabbit hole. Beautiful. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed this, and we will be opening up to put this out in audio form and in video form, and we'll work that out with the audio form. Our friend Soren can help us out with that. And thank you so much for this, and thank you to everyone who joined us in this, because this is our heart. This is what we live for. This is our prayer. This is our devotion. This is our life. This is our love. And we love to just share it and hang in there with the faith of expanding faith to realize the truth. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Many blessings.
Many blessings.